Most people try to eliminate bad habits the wrong way. They rely on willpower, and it never lasts. You've done this before. You decide to stop scrolling, stop complaining, stop procrastinating. You fight the urge for days, maybe weeks. Then one bad moment breaks everything, and you're back where you started, feeling like you failed again. Here's what samurai understood that modern advice misses. Bad habits exist because they solve a problem. They serve a function. And you can't eliminate them by willpower alone. You have to replace them with something that solves the same problem better. Miyamoto Musashi, undefeated in over 60 duels, spent his final years, 1643-1645, at Reigandō cave writing Go Rin No Sho. His writings reveal a systematic elimination method warriors used because one weakness in combat meant death. No room for willpower, only systems that worked. This video breaks down that method into 7 phases you can apply today. 3 components: function identification, understanding what the habit actually does for you. Alternative installation, creating a replacement that works better. Environment restructuring, making the old habit harder and the new one easier. Let's start with function identification. Phase 1, trigger reward mapping. First phase is trigger reward mapping, systematically documenting when bad habit occurs and what psychological state it produces. Track every occurrence for 1 week. Note exact trigger and resulting feeling. Identify pattern, revealing function. Trigger reward mapping reveals habit function by creating objective record showing what consistently precedes habit execution and what psychological state follows, indicating what need habit satisfies. Most people eliminate habits without understanding function. You know scrolling wastes time, but don't recognize it, provides emotional regulation or social connection replacement. You know complaining is negative, but don't understand it serves control-seeking or validation needs. This functional blindness makes elimination impossible because unknown need continues driving pattern regardless of willpower, because brain seeks need satisfaction through any available mechanism, including destructive ones when alternatives don't exist. Why systematic week-long tracking rather than casual observation becomes clear examining pattern recognition and blind spot revelation. Casual observation captures obvious instances while missing subtle pattern variations, revealing true function. You notice evening scrolling during boredom, but miss afternoon scrolling during anxiety or morning scrolling during motivation. Avoidance. Revealing habit serves multiple functions, requiring different alternatives. Additionally, written documentation prevents rationalization and selective memory, allowing you to see pattern objectively, whereas mental review allows dismissing inconvenient observations, contradicting preferred self-concept. Research on functional analysis confirms systematic tracking reveals habit drivers invisible through casual introspection because self-report bias distorts conscious understanding of actual behavioral contingencies. Consider attempting to eliminate social media scrolling without function identification. You recognize habit wastes time and decide stopping. Successfully abstain 3 days through willpower, then stress or boredom triggers resumed scrolling, feeling like discipline failure. Without function identification, you don't recognize. Scrolling provides stress relief and boredom escape. 2 distinct functions requiring different alternatives, making elimination impossible because unmet needs persist, creating pressure toward only available satisfaction mechanism. Now consider identical habit with week-long trigger reward mapping. Document every scrolling instance, noting what immediately preceded: work pressure, social rejection, empty schedule, unclear direction, and what feeling followed: temporary stress relief, mild entertainment, brief connection feeling. Pattern reveals scrolling primarily serves anxiety regulation and stimulation provision, requiring specific functional alternatives rather than mere abstinence. Examine your target bad habit honestly. Can you articulate precisely what psychological function it serves? Not what's wrong with it, but what need it meets even destructively. Most people discover they've never explicitly identified habit function, focusing only on negative consequences while remaining blind to psychological benefits. Making elimination attempts fail inevitably because unrecognized need continues driving pattern regardless of conscious commitment to stopping. Implementation. For 1 full week, every single time the bad habit happens, immediately write down 3 things: what time it was, what you were doing or feeling right before, and how you felt during and after. At the end of the week, read all your notes and write 1 sentence. This habit mainly helps me blank when I feel blank. Trigger reward mapping reveals function, but understanding function doesn't eliminate habit. You need alternative satisfying same need through non-destructive mechanism. Second phase creates this alternative. Phase 2, functional alternative design. Second phase is functional alternative design, creating specific replacement behavior, satisfying identified function through constructive mechanism. Match alternative to exact function. Ensure equal or superior satisfaction. Make alternative immediately accessible. Alternative design creates elimination pathway by providing brain with functional replacement, removing psychological need, driving bad habit, making old pattern unnecessary rather than merely resisted. Most people attempt elimination without alternatives, creating functional vacuum. You stop scrolling, but have no alternative anxiety regulation mechanism. You stop complaining, but lack alternative control-seeking outlet, producing persistent psychological pressure toward old pattern because need remains unmet and brain seeks satisfaction through any available mechanism, preferring familiar destructive pattern over absent alternative. Functional alternative removes pressure by satisfying need through deliberate constructive behavior, making old pattern obsolete because function is already met. Why alternative must match exact function rather than being generically positive becomes clear examining substitution failure and satisfaction requirements. Generic positive activities, meditation, exercise, reading, fail as alternatives when they don't match specific function requiring satisfaction. If habit serves anxiety regulation, then alternative must provide anxiety regulation, not general well-being. If habit serves social connection, then alternative must provide connection, not solitary improvement. Additionally, alternative must deliver equivalent or superior satisfaction because inferior substitute creates persistence pressure toward superior satisfaction, original pattern. Only function-matched, adequately satisfying alternative creates genuine replacement where brain prefers new pattern-making, old pattern extinction automatic. Consider scrolling habit-serving anxiety regulation function. Without functional alternative, you attempt abstinence, creating vacuum where anxiety appears but no regulation mechanism exists, making resumed scrolling inevitable because unregulated anxiety becomes unbearable and only familiar mechanism provides relief. Now consider deliberate functional alternative designed specifically for anxiety regulation. When work pressure triggers anxiety, previously triggering scrolling, you execute alternative 5-minute breathing protocol, brief outdoor walk, written anxiety acknowledgement, providing actual anxiety reduction, matching or exceeding scrolling's temporary relief. Alternative satisfies function, making scrolling unnecessary because need is already met through constructive mechanism. Implementation. Based on what you discovered in phase 1, choose one simple action that could give you the same feeling or benefit in a healthier way. Write it down as a clear rule. When trigger happens, I will new action instead of bad habit. Keep this rule somewhere you will see it every day. Functional alternative provides replacement mechanism. But availability of alternative doesn't guarantee usage. Environment must remove bad habit triggers while making alternative obvious and accessible. Third phase solves this. Phase 3, Trigger Elimination Protocol. Third phase is trigger elimination, removing or modifying environmental conditions that automatically activate bad habit pattern. Identify all physical triggers. Remove or modify each systematically. Make bad habit execution require deliberate effort. Trigger elimination creates elimination support by removing automatic activation, preventing old pattern from initiating even when functional alternative exists. Most people maintain triggering environment while attempting habit change. Your phone remains accessible, making scrolling automatic despite alternative availability. Your physical space maintains complaining context despite resolution commitment. This trigger-rich environment creates continuous activation where bad habit pattern initiates automatically before conscious awareness allows alternative selection-making willpower battle inevitable and failure likely. Trigger elimination breaks automatic activation, requiring deliberate conscious decision to execute bad habit-making alternative selection, natural default response. Why environmental modification, rather than merely increased awareness, becomes clear examining automaticity and willpower limitations. Automatic habits activate below conscious threshold through trigger recognition. You see phone and hand reaches automatically. You encounter difficulty and complaint forms without conscious decision. Awareness attempts inserting conscious evaluation, interrupting automaticity. But this requires constant vigilance, consuming substantial willpower, eventually depleting under sustained demand. Environmental modification eliminates automatic activation by removing triggers, making pattern initiation require deliberate conscious effort. Reversing automation, where alternative becomes automatic response and bad habit requires willpower execution, making old pattern naturally extinct through effort requirement. Consider scrolling triggered by phone visibility. Despite functional alternative and genuine commitment, phone sitting on desk triggers, automatic reaching and opening before conscious awareness allows alternative selection making countless daily willpower battles where most are won, but some are lost maintaining habit pattern. Now consider trigger elimination, phone physically removed from workspace during focus periods requiring standing, walking to different room, and deliberate retrieval to access. Trigger elimination breaks, automaticity making scrolling require deliberate conscious effort, while alternative becomes default response when anxiety appears because alternative is immediately available and scrolling requires substantial effort, reversing activation dynamics, making old pattern naturally decline. Implementation. Look at your list of triggers from phase 1. Pick the 2 biggest ones. For each trigger, make one physical change to your environment. Remove the object, delete the app, move the furniture, or add a barrier that forces you to stop and think before doing the habit. At the same time, put your new healthy alternative in an obvious, easy-to-reach spot. Trigger elimination removes automatic activation, but elimination phases require integration, creating complete system where function is satisfied, alternative is available, and environment supports replacement. Let's examine integration protocol. Phase 4, replacement ritual establishment. Fourth phase is replacement ritual establishment, creating explicit protocol, linking identified trigger to functional alternative. Write exact if-then replacement rule. Practice deliberately until automatic. Track execution consistency, strengthening new pattern. Replacement ritual creates habit substitution. by establishing explicit trigger alternative connection training brain to execute new pattern automatically when trigger appears. Most people design alternatives without explicit implementation protocol, leaving trigger response connection ambiguous. When anxiety appears, you theoretically could execute breathing alternative but lack explicit commitment, making old scrolling pattern remain automatic response, while alternative requires conscious decision. Implementation intention creates explicit connection, where trigger automatically activates alternative through practiced protocol, making new pattern gradually automatic through consistent execution, while old pattern atrophies through disuse. Why explicit if, then protocol rather than general alternative awareness becomes clear examining habit formation and automaticity development. Habit automaticity requires consistent trigger-response pairing, where specific trigger reliably produces specific response through repeated execution, strengthening neural pathway until automatic. Vague awareness, I should breathe when anxious instead of scrolling, lacks specific pairing because trigger and response remain conceptually linked, not behaviorally practiced. If then protocol, if work pressure creates anxiety, then I immediately execute 5-breath cycle, creates concrete pairing, practiced explicitly making automatic connection develop through consistent execution. Research on implementation intentions confirms specific if-then rules produce dramatically higher execution rates than general goal commitments because specificity eliminates ambiguity, making response automatic. Consider designed breathing alternative for anxiety regulation without replacement ritual. Anxiety appears triggering old scrolling pattern automatically, while breathing alternative requires conscious decision competing with automatic response. Automatic pattern usually wins despite alternative availability because automaticity beats deliberation consistently. Now consider identical alternative with explicit replacement ritual practiced deliberately. When work pressure appears, you immediately execute train protocol. Notice anxiety sensation, state silently, anxiety regulation protocol. Begin 5-breath cycle with counted timing. Initial executions require deliberate effort, but consistent practice across 2 weeks creates automaticity, where work pressure automatically triggers protocol execution making. Scrolling require overriding now automatic healthy response, reversing previous dynamics. Implementation. For the next 2 weeks, practice your new rule deliberately. Every time the trigger appears, stop and do the alternative action on purpose, even if it feels awkward at first. Keep a simple mark on a calendar each day you successfully use the alternative. Your goal is repetition, not perfection. Replacement ritual creates alternative automaticity, but single ritual may not address all instances. Comprehensive elimination requires ritual expansion covering all major trigger contexts. 5th phase completes coverage. Phase 5, context diversification. 5th phase is context diversification, identifying multiple trigger contexts and establishing specific alternatives for each. Map all significant trigger situations. Create context-appropriate alternatives. Practice each until automatic across contexts. Context diversification creates comprehensive elimination by recognizing bad habits often serve multiple functions across different contexts, requiring varied alternatives rather than single replacement. Most people design single alternative assuming habit serves uniform function. One breathing protocol for all anxiety instances, one activity for all boredom situations. Not recognizing habit serves different needs in different contexts, requiring differentiated responses. Single alternative works for primary context but fails in secondary contexts, where different function requires different satisfaction mechanism, leaving gaps where old pattern remains only available. Option maintaining partial habit continuation. Why context-specific alternatives rather than universal replacement becomes clear examining functional variation and situation demands. Same bad habit may serve anxiety regulation during work pressure, provide stimulation during empty schedule, offer social connection during isolation, and enable control-seeking during uncertain situations. 4 distinct functions requiring 4 distinct alternatives because single response cannot satisfy all needs. Additionally, context constrains alternative viability. Breathing protocol works during seated work but fails during active movement. Physical exercise works during free time but fails during meetings. Context-specific alternatives ensure appropriate functional satisfaction available regardless of situation, making old pattern never necessary. Consider scrolling habit identified primarily as anxiety regulation, but complete mapping reveals multiple contexts: work pressure anxiety, regulation need, post-work emptiness, stimulation need, evening loneliness, connection need, morning uncertainty, direction need. Single breathing alternative addresses work anxiety but fails other contexts, leaving gaps where scrolling remains functional. Now consider context diversification with specific alternatives. Work anxiety triggers breathing protocol. Empty schedule triggers planned engaging activity. Loneliness triggers direct social contact action. Uncertainty triggers brief planning session. Each context has appropriate functional alternative, making scrolling unnecessary across all situations rather than merely primary context. Implementation. Look back at your week of tracking. If the bad habit shows up in different situations, write down 2 to 3 different contexts, like during work stress and after dinner when bored. For each context, create a mini version of your if-then rule with an alternative that fits that specific situation. Practice each one separately until it feels natural. Context diversification creates comprehensive coverage. But even perfect alternative availability doesn't guarantee elimination if social environment enables or encourages old pattern. Let's examine social restructuring. Phase 6, enabler identification and modification. 6th phase is enabler identification, recognizing people and social situations that trigger or reinforce bad habit. Identify social triggers explicitly. Modify social situations, creating support. Communicate boundaries, preventing enablement. Enabler identification creates social alignment by recognizing that bad habits often have social components where other people trigger patterns or reinforce execution, making elimination impossible despite personal commitment. Most people attempt habit elimination without addressing social context. Friends encourage scrolling together, colleagues bond through complaining. Family enables comfort-seeking patterns, creating continuous social pressure toward old habits through explicit encouragement or implicit modeling, making personal resistance require fighting social environment. Enabler identification and modification removes social pressure, creating aligned environment, supporting elimination rather than undermining it. Why explicit identification rather than vague social awareness becomes clear, examining social influence, invisibility, and enablement mechanisms. Social triggers operate subtly through modeling, casual encouragement, shared activities, and group norms, making influence invisible without deliberate analysis. You don't recognize friend group's default activity is mutual scrolling triggering your pattern. Workplace culture normalizes complaining, making your participation feel required for belonging. Explicit identification reveals hidden social contingencies, allowing deliberate modification through boundary communication, alternative proposition, or relationship reduction, making social environment support rather than undermine elimination effort. Consider attempting scrolling elimination while maintaining friend group whose primary social activity is sharing social media content and commenting together. Group norm makes scrolling feel required for connection, creating continuous social trigger and reinforcement, making personal abstinence feel like social rejection. Without enabler identification, you attempt elimination through personal willpower while maintaining triggering social context, creating battle, where social belonging needs conflict with elimination goals, making failure inevitable. Now consider deliberate enabler identification. Recognize friend group enables, scrolling through shared activity, communicate boundary proposing alternative activities, meeting for conversation or activity instead of scrolling together, accept some friends may not adjust, reducing contact with those who continue pressuring participation while strengthening relationships with supporters, creating social environment aligned with elimination rather than opposed. Implementation. Make a short list of any people or situations that encourage the bad habit or make it very hard to avoid. Pick one person or situation from that list. This week, have one honest conversation explaining what you are changing and asking for their support. If they cannot support you, decide whether you need to spend less time in that situation for now. Social restructuring removes external pressure. But elimination requires ongoing maintenance, preventing gradual regression when initial motivation fades. Final phase creates this sustainability. Phase 7, progressive challenge. Integration. 7th phase is progressive challenge integration, deliberately exposing yourself to increasing difficulty, maintaining elimination under pressure. Start with easy contexts. Gradually increase challenge. Build resistance through successful navigation. Progressive challenge creates elimination durability by systematically building capability, handling triggers under varying difficulty, preventing elimination collapse when easy conditions give way to challenging circumstances. Most people eliminate habits during favorable conditions: low stress, high motivation, supportive environment. Successfully maintaining abstinence until difficult period appears, overwhelming nascent patterns making regression feel inevitable. This conditional elimination creates fragile success that doesn't survive real-world pressure. Progressive challenge builds robust elimination by deliberately practicing alternative execution under increasing difficulty, creating confidence and capability, making elimination sustainable through any conditions. Why deliberate progressive exposure rather than avoiding difficulty becomes clear examining stress inoculation and capability development. Avoiding challenging contexts maintains elimination but prevents capability growth, making you dependent on favorable conditions for success. Your elimination works during calm periods but collapses during stress, revealing conditional fragile change. Deliberate progressive exposure builds genuine capability by practicing alternative execution in increasingly difficult contexts where successful navigation creates confidence and strengthens neural pathways, making patterns robust against stress rather than merely functional during ease. Research on stress inoculation confirms graduated exposure to manageable challenges builds resilience, while either avoiding difficulty or facing overwhelming challenge produces anxiety and failure. Consider scrolling elimination maintained successfully during vacation period with low stress and high social engagement, creating favorable conditions. Return to normal life with work pressure, social isolation, and demanding schedule overwhelms alternatives, making scrolling resumption feel inevitable because capability was never tested under realistic pressure. Now consider deliberate progressive challenge. After 2 weeks successful elimination in easy context, deliberately introduce moderate stressor while maintaining commitment, difficult work project. Successfully navigate using alternatives building confidence, then gradually increase difficulty, add social isolation, then add time pressure. Systematically building capability handling realistic challenges, making elimination durable rather than conditionally successful. Implementation. After you have at least 1 week of success in easy conditions, deliberately face one slightly harder situation while keeping your commitment. Before it happens, mentally rehearse using your alternative. After it happens, write down what you learned. Each week, add one new level of difficulty, but never more than one challenge at a time. Complete method integration. Complete elimination method integrates all 7 phases, creating systematic, permanent habit elimination through functional replacement, not mere willpower resistance. Function identification reveals what psychological need drives pattern through trigger reward mapping and functional alternative design. Alternative installation creates replacement mechanism through replacement ritual establishment and context diversification, ensuring coverage. Environment restructuring creates support through trigger elimination, social restructuring, and progressive challenge building durability. This integration produces permanent elimination, not through increased willpower, but through obsoleted function. Bad habits stop serving purpose because alternatives satisfy needs more effectively across all contexts, while environmental modifications remove automatic triggers and social influences that previously maintained pattern. 7 phases create redundant support, where if one element weakens temporarily, others maintain elimination until full system reactivates, preventing single-point failure. That willpower only approaches experience when momentary weakness collapses entire effort. After implementing complete method, most people report bad habit genuinely feels absent, not merely resisted. You don't want old pattern because alternatives satisfy functions better and triggers don't activate automatic responses anymore. Making old behavior require deliberate effort to execute, reversing previous dynamics where alternatives required effort and bad habit was automatic. This is genuine elimination, where pattern extinct, not merely suppressed, creating sustainable permanent change without ongoing willpower requirement.